Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and get started. So on the top left of my screen, we'll have the Chaos Mesh UI. So you can see right now there's no workflow or experiment or schedule running, but that's going to change shortly. On the bottom left, we'll basically have the architecture for the HA orchestrator as well as the failure overlays. And on the right here, we can see I have a 3 replica SQL managed instance, business critical. And I'm just connected to the primary, and we can see that all databases are healthy. And from there, what we're going to do is basically apply the workflow that's going to basically go ahead and kick things off. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, and then on the bottom right here, basically I'm tailing the orchestrator logs. So basically I'm just looking at the logs and seeing as activities happen. So everything right now is healthy. Minimize this a little bit. And let's go ahead and apply the Chaos Mesh workflow. So the workflow is created, and if we refresh the UI, we'll see that it is running. And there is a single pod that's running right now. And if we take a look at the logs, what it's doing is basically going ahead and creating the user database. That is essentially this step over here. Okay, so we can see it went ahead and created the database, and that pod is done. And now we have these basically pods that are going in and repeat inserting transactions. And that is this step over here. We're still in the setup. And we can see that basically this is going to happen for about a minute or so. So right now we're basically at this step before the network failure kicks in. So far our SQL MI is healthy. There's 10 pods doing kind of infinite transactions, but SQL Server can obviously handle it. So let's wait until the failure kicks in. So if we go to the workflows and we click on refresh here, we will see that basically when we get to this step, which is going to trigger in about a minute, we will have essentially, so right there at around 60 seconds, we will have some failure injections being done. So if I go ahead and look at the experiments, we will see that there is some partial database to database failure being injected. And if we look at the DMVs, we will see that so far SQL Server is still doing well. It's still healthy and transactions are still happening fine. So let's continue tailing the logs here. And we see that our HA orchestrator was actually killed. So that is basically this step right here. And in the meantime, there is actually parallel kills that are going on, which is this step and this step. So if we go to our experiments tab and we do a refresh, actually over to schedules, we will see that we basically have random schedules running when these failures are being injected essentially, right? So one after the other. And here we can actually see what at that point in time is being scheduled. And let's try to go in and see if we can actually connect to the primary AG. Okay, so refresh did go through, and if I quickly just go ahead and run the same queries, we will see that this chaos that is running has actually gone ahead and put 2 of our replicas in a not healthy state, right? And our databases are in a not healthy state as well, essentially. And yeah, so this is basically the start of the chaos. So we are probably around here right now. Let me see exactly where this is at this point. So I did the kill 0 container, which is this. And then right now it's probably doing a force failover of SQL Server. Yep, right on time. So 13 seconds ago, that pod got created, and it is basically forcing the failover on the instances. And yeah, so basically this is going to happen and continue for about 18 minutes or so, which is when we're going to get to the end. And at that point, basically the experiment will be over, and we are going to basically try and see if our HA orchestrator is able to bring SQL Server as well as the AGs back in a healthy state, right? So if we, for example, go ahead and look at the logs of the orchestrator, which is basically our friend here, it is sort of in overdrive because it's receiving all these kind of signals and errors and heartbeats, right? Like basically all the things that it's supposed to be receiving. We have gone ahead and basically injected all these failures, and things are on fire a little bit, and so it is basically struggling. So basically, let's let this run for a bit, and then we will come back to when the graph is finished executing, and we're basically at the end of the line here. One of the things that I noticed about Chaos Mesh is actually, I think this might be a bug. The schedules actually keep on running even though the workflow is complete. So basically, I guess there's some finalizers that are still running and haven't killed the chaos. So basically what I'm trying to say is there is chaos that are still being injected even though the experiment is done. Or maybe we have too much. This is quite complicated. And so basically what I'm going to have to do, you'll notice I'll delete the workflow. And that deleted the workflow custom resource. But some of these experiments basically still kind of like hang around. And essentially what I notice you have to do is basically delete all the custom resources. So let's go ahead and do that. I just have a quick script that's getting all the custom resources from Chaos Mesh and deleting it. Like we want to basically leave our data namespace in a clean state before, so you can see there were some custom resources from the Chaos that are still there, even though Chaos Mesh is reporting that it's not. So we're just cleaning those up. And once all the Chaos custom resources are done cleaning up, but the litmus test now is going to be after the SQL MIs have actually gone ahead and come up, is our DMVs that we're looking at in a healthy state or not? And if it's not in a healthy state, that means that we basically managed to break SQL Server after all this test. Okay, and let's look at our DMVs. And the DMVs are in a healthy state, despite all the torture that we put on within SQL Server. So I think this is basically kind of SQL Server winning the battle this time around. Thank you.